roof of the reactor building is completely gone. A glowing, toxic column of blue-purple light shoots kilometers into the night sky as the exposed white-hot nuclear core burns at 3,000 degrees, completely exposed to the open air. First responders are rushing to the scene, handling blocks of highly radioactive graphite with their bare hands, entirely unaware that they are unknowingly marching to their deaths. This is the minute-by-minute account of history's ultimate technological nightmare. This is the 1986 Chernobyl disaster. April 25, 1986, Pripyat, Ukraine. Inside the control room of Reactor Number 4, an untrained night shift takes over. As the clock ticks past midnight, a delayed, poorly planned safety test begins. To prepare for the test, power is dropped too low, stalling the reactor. Desperate to bring the power back up, operators pull out nearly all the control rods, plunging the core into a highly volatile state known as xenon poisoning. At 1:23 a.m., the water levels drop, steam pressure spikes, and the power instantly surges to over 100 times its safe limit. Realizing the danger, the chief operator slams his finger down on the AZ5 emergency button to shut it down. But the control rods have a fatal design flaw. Their tips are made of graphite. The moment they enter the unstable core, they displace water and instantly accelerate the reaction. The pressure vessels rupture, steam rips through the infrastructure, and the entire reactor explodes. In the shattered ruins of Reactor 4, a deadly graphite fire rages completely out of control. Without a thick concrete shield to contain it, the thermal updrafts act as a giant chimney, pumping thousands of curies of highly radioactive isotopes directly into the atmosphere. Inside the bunker beneath the plant, management remains in complete denial. Their low-range dosimeters immediately max out and burn out, leading officials to mistakenly believe the radiation is safe, blinding them to the true scale of the disaster happening right above their heads. Just 3 kilometers away in the city of Pripyat, the 45,000 residents are fast asleep. Many are woken by the distant thud of the explosion, stepping out onto their balconies to watch what looks like a beautiful glowing fog rolling in from the plant. But the air is toxic. Millions of invisible radioactive particles, cesium, iodine, and deadly strontium settle quietly onto playgrounds, trees, and streets. By morning, school children walk to class through dust that is silently ionizing the air, tasting like metal in their mouths. 36 hours pass before the Soviet authorities finally acknowledge the truth. A massive fleet of over 1,000 military buses begins lining up outside the city gates. The orders come down from Moscow. The entire population must evacuate immediately, and no one is allowed to leave anything behind. A new nightmare emerges. The white-hot corium is melting through the concrete floor, heading straight for massive pools of water below. If they meet, it will trigger a massive thermal explosion that will destroy the remaining 3 reactors and level half of Europe. 3 brave volunteers, Ananenko, Vespalov, and Baranov, wade into the dark, pitch-black radioactive water to find the release valves. Working purely by touch as their flashlights die, they successfully drain the tanks and save the continent. But the roof of Reactor 4 is still littered with highly radioactive chunks of graphite thrown out by the blast. Machine rovers fail within minutes as the extreme radiation fries their circuitry. Humans are the only option left on the roof of the world, the most dangerous place on Earth. They are called bio-robots. Clad in handmade lead aprons, columns of young soldiers sprint out onto the roof. They have exactly 90 seconds to shovel a single block of graphite into the ruined core before their cells begin to disintegrate under the invisible assault. Over 7 months, an army of over 600,000 liquidators battles the invisible monster. They dump thousands of tons of sand and boron from helicopters and build a massive steel and concrete sarcophagus directly over the ruined reactor, forcing a temporary, fragile truce. As highly toxic dust settles across the borders of Ukraine and Belarus, the Soviet government establishes an emergency boundary that cuts off the region from the modern world. Over 300,000 people are permanently displaced, completely clearing a 30-kilometer radius known as the exclusion zone. Directly downwind of the blast, a massive pine forest absorbs the highest dose of radiation. Within days, the pine needles turn a violent rust-orange color before dying completely. The trees become so highly radioactive they must be bulldozed and buried beneath the dirt. Today, it is called the Red Forest. In the heart of Pripyat, an amusement park stands completely silent. Set to open just days after the disaster, its iconic yellow Ferris wheel now stands as a rusting monument to an entire society caught completely off guard, its cars frozen in midair. The cleanup costs, the global loss of trust, and the desperate attempts to suppress the truth crack the foundation of the state. Years later, Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev would state that Chernobyl was the true turning point that directly accelerated the collapse of the Soviet Union. The landscape remains frozen in time, a stark, silent warning to the world of what happens when human error, flawed technology, and state secrecy collide with the terrifying, invisible power of the atom.